Figures for the first quarter of 2022 shows that the German economy shrank by 0.3% that followed another quarter of falling GDP at the end of last year. So what's really happening with the German economy and why it faces a crisis? Let us all know the story behind it with the help of one of the members of the German Council of Economic Experts, Veronica Grimm. Well, according to her, one of the reasons why Germany wasn't able to avoid recession is that, for the first quarter of 2023, high prices weighed on the German economy demand, and consequently consumption declined.
For the first quarter of 23, worse than expected. High prices, in particular, weighed on the German economy. Demand and, in particular, consumption declined.
You see, my friends, a recession is like that unexpected bill that arrives just when you thought you had enough money for a fancy vacation. It's a period when an economy takes a nosedive and things start to get a little gloomy. In this case, Germany found itself in the midst of a recession, and everyone was wondering why. Enter our protagonist, the high prices. Picture this: you walk into a German bakery, ready to indulge in some delicious pretzels. But wait, what's this? The price of a pretzel has suddenly skyrocketed. It's as if the pretzel gods decided to punish us all for enjoying their twisted delights. Now, imagine this happening not just with pretzels, but with everything, from cars to clothes, and even schnitzels. So why did these high prices weigh down on the German economy and cause consumption to decline? Well, my friend, it's all about that magical thing called demand. You see, when prices go up, people tend to become a bit more cautious with their hard-earned cash. They start thinking twice before splurging on that new pair of lederhosen or investing in a shiny new BMW. Now, taking a step back, when prices rise, the purchasing power of money decreases. It's like trying to buy a whole crate of bratwurst with just a few euros. It's not going to get you very far. As a result, people start cutting back on their spending, and the economy takes a hit. Now, you might be thinking, but why did prices suddenly decide to play this cruel joke on Germany? Well, there are many factors at play. One of them is good old supply and demand. When demand for goods and services is high and supply struggles to keep up, prices tend to rise faster than a schnitzel in hot oil. But that's not all. Remember inflation? It's like that pesky mosquito that keeps buzzing around your ear when you're trying to enjoy a peaceful picnic. Inflation refers to the general increase in prices over time. If it gets out of hand, it can wreak havoc on an economy. And that's exactly what happened in Germany. Inflation started to creep up, causing prices to soar and wallets to tremble. So why couldn't Germany just wave a magic wand and make all the high prices disappear? Well, let me tell you, it's not that simple. The economy is a complex beast, and taming it requires a delicate balance of policies and strategies. The German government had to rack their brains, trying to figure out how to address the issue and bring some relief to the people. One approach they could take is to boost the supply of goods and services. It's like opening a second bakery that churns out pretzels at lightning speed to meet the insatiable demand. By increasing supply, prices can stabilize, and people can enjoy their favorite German delicacies without breaking the bank. But again, this is easier said than done. If all of these can just done easily, the German economy won't be problematizing all of these. Now, another problem that Grimm said is how the German government is moving away from supply constraints towards demand constraints, which is due in fact to high prices and restrictive monetary policies, which is important to bring inflation down.
And overall, we are moving away from supply constraints toward demand constraints, which is, of course, due to the high prices and also due to the restrictive monetary policy, which is important to bring inflation down. Inflation is still high, so we are in a very challenging situation now.
Let us break down what Grimm said in simple terms. In an economic sense, supply constraints occur when there's a limitation or scarcity of the resources necessary to produce goods and services. It's like hitting a roadblock on the path to economic growth. When supply is constrained, businesses struggle to meet the demand for their products, which can lead to price increases and frustrated consumers. Now let's switch gears and focus on demand constraints. Imagine a scenario where you're surrounded by an abundance of cakes, but you simply can't afford to buy one. Perhaps the price of cakes has skyrocketed, or maybe your wallet is feeling a little light these days. Either way, you find yourself unable to participate in the consumption bonanza. Demand constraints, on the other hand, occur when there's a limitation or restriction on consumers' ability or willingness to purchase goods and services. It's like putting a damper on the economic engine. When demand is constrained, businesses struggle to sell their products, leading to reduced production, layoffs, and a general slowdown in economic activity. So, why is the German government shifting its focus from supply constraints to demand constraints? Well, it all ties back to high prices and restrictive monetary policies. Let's break it down further. As I've said earlier, high prices can wreak havoc on an economy. When the prices of goods and services surge, consumers start feeling the pinch in their wallets. Suddenly, that delicious Black Forest cake becomes a luxury that's out of reach for many. People become more cautious with their spending, opting for cheaper alternatives or postponing their purchases altogether. This decline in consumer spending directly affects demand, as businesses struggle to sell their products. They may be sitting on piles of inventory but struggle to find buyers. As a result, businesses may cut back on production, reduce their workforce, or even face closures. On top of that, the German government has implemented restrictive monetary policies. These policies aim to control inflation, which is the general increase in prices over time. By implementing measures to restrict the supply of money or increase interest rates, the government hopes to curb inflationary pressures. However, these restrictive monetary policies can also have unintended consequences. They can further limit consumer spending and put additional pressure on demand. When borrowing becomes more expensive or saving becomes more attractive, people may hold on to their money rather than spending it on goods and services. This, in turn, leads to a decline in demand and can exacerbate the economic slowdown. So we find ourselves in a situation where the German government is grappling with high prices and restrictive monetary policies, which are contributing to demand constraints. The government's aim is to bring down inflation and stabilize the economy, but it's a delicate balancing act. So with all the problems in inflation, demands, supply, and recession, two possible ways that Grimm sees to bring inflation down is, first, increase supply of energy, and secondly, the European Central Bank should really manage soft lending without provoking a too strong recession.
I think it is very important to increase supply of energy to bring inflation down. I think also it is important that the European Central Bank really manages soft lending without provoking a too strong recession.
For others, recessions are an unavoidable thing, so one must take advantage of it. On the other hand, while others pinpoint what regular individuals must and must not do, others focused on criticizing the government for being too bureaucratic, the reason why a lot of institutions cannot do much. This is also what another citizen have said, and I quote, "Bureaucracy will stop the German economy on its tracks sooner than later." Well, my friends, if you are to ask my perspective on this matter, it's important for policymakers to strike a balance between price stability and supporting economic growth. And it's no easy task, since it requires careful consideration of the broader economic conditions, both domestic and international, as well as the potential short-term and long-term impacts of policy decisions. What do you think about this topic? Let me know in the comments section below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next video.